Today is Dalit Adar Sheni Tafshin Pei Dalit Baruch Hashem. We conclude the Tanya. I just want to read the conclusion again. This is called a siyum, although we don't say the traditional siyum that we say for the Gemara when you finish a tractate of Gemara, of Talmud. Nevertheless, it's considered a siyum. So what does the Alter Rebbe finish with his first 53 chapters, which is called Sefer Shel Beinanin, the book for the intermediates, for the average person, with a concept. He says, the last line is, Ki Hashem Elokecha Eish Oich Lahu. That's a verse. For God, your God, is a all-consuming fire. Now, why does he conclude with this verse? So simply speaking, the idea that he mentioned towards the end of this chapter earlier was that one needs to transform or at least control their habits, their taivas, their urges. And this is very appropriate because for the average person, we all have habits and taivas and urges and all of that. And as the Gemara says, that Rabbi Yochanan, who went into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, he was a high priest, a Kohen Gadol, he went into the Kodesh HaKadoshim so many times, and on the last Yom Kippur of his life, he became a heretic, an apostate. It's hard to even fathom such a Gemara, but that's what it says. And the Gemara derives the lesson that a person should never trust themselves. I think of it, and and the professionals that deal with this over here. Someone can be, if someone has a depression or a mental illness of sorts, they could be normal, and all of a sudden they snap, and it's like it comes out of the blue. We shouldn't know such things, but we do know such things. Well, the same is true with the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara, the Nefesh Habamis, as is called in classical Chabad literature, is the same idea. You could be a good boy for many, many years, and everything is good and fine, and then you just go elsewhere. And I'll tell you something, that this is something that the Jewish world is experiencing today, because the Rebbes, the Gedolim, the Chachamim, the Rabbanim of the past are pretty much all finished. The previous generation is passed on. Kipshute. And we know a saying, Loi Alman Yisrael. Israel is not a widower. No, Hashem provides new leadership. It's true, but it's a different quality. It's a different style, a different type. And those of us who had the fortune to know the previous generation, which Baruch Hashem, I still had a taste of it. And because my father is a European Jew and he really has never left Europe, he's been here since 1958, but he's still one piece of he's a Romanian Jew, a Romanian Chassid, and that's the way he is, So I grew up with such a father. So I had a taste of the past. And then that, of course, got me interested in pursuing the past, which I partially do for a living. So we don't have that today. And because we don't have that today, there are people. And this is true for people who are FFBs from birth, or Bali Tshuva. It makes no difference, who for some reason they're finding Yiddishkeit, Judaism, Torah, not addressing their life's needs at the time. And they take a hiatus. They take, or as we say, they chill out. Okay? and this is a reality. I see it. I live with it. I know the situation on the ground. So the Alter Rebbe in Tanya works very diligently to keep the fire burning, keep the flame going. I always repeat what Moshe told me when I came the first time to Bet Shemesh, Ramat Bet Shemesh, and we were talking, once we got to know each other about the shul, Eish Kodesh, and the situation on the ground with other shuls and people, whatever. And he said, that he finds that a lot of people are just stale. Remember, he used that word, stale. People are robotic. People put on tefillin. People do mitzvahs, but it's stale. There's no chayas. There's no vitality. There's no animation. There's no excitement. The whole idea of Tanya, Torah in general, but Tanya in particular, is to find excitement in your avodas Hashem. And I don't mean excitement, what they call fun. I'm looking for fun. I need fun. That's not, we're all older. We've had our fun already. And if you haven't had your fun yet, don't waste your time going for it. We're looking for meaning in our life. We're looking for meaning in our life. And part of meaning is finding on a daily basis a connection. Like I told you, why am I here? That vital question. Why did God put me here? And what am I doing to fulfill that mission? So that's the theme of the Tanya. So the Alter Rebbe says, Ki Hashem Elokecha eish oich lehu. Hashem Elokecha is your God, not Hashem Elokim. Look at the language in the verse. Ki Hashem Elokecha. For Hashem is your God. For it to be my God, then I need to feel it. Right? It's my wife, it's my husband, it's my son, it's my daughter. It's my job, it's my business. It's yours? When can you say something is yours? When you feel it. I always think about how you have friends from 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 years ago. And then as life goes on and people have families and people have, all the issues of life, you call them up, you say hello, and there isn't that same connection that you had when you were in college or in yeshiva or when you were a boy, And at first I said, wait a minute, but I do feel it and I want to have that relationship because it feels so good. But they didn't reciprocate. And then you realize life has its challenges. People marry, people go off, people do their thing. And what hit me is that unless you are now in a relationship with whoever you want to be in a relationship, you're not going to have that brotherhood. The Gemara says, I've learned it, I think in Megillah just recently, Megillah or Tainus, that the Gemara says, when you forsake Torah one day, it forsakes you for 2 days. Right? I think Torah is such a Gemara, or maybe it's with the Beis Medrash. If you don't come to Beis Medrash one day, it's like the Beis Medrash leaves you for 2 days. And I think of it, unless you maintain a relationship, an active relationship, your one day of not keeping that relationship causes the relationship not to keep itself with you. So you got 2. So the second day, not only don't you have the relationship, it doesn't have a relationship with you. In other words, it's a double whammy. So Ki Hashem Elokecha eish oich lehu. For Hashem is your consuming fire. This means that every person needs to internalize their Jewishness, their Yiddishkeit, their Torah. And finally, the pasuk says, eish oich lehu, consuming. You have to have the issue consume the item where it's a burning coal. It's been penetrated through and through. And that's the whole thing of the Tanya, is to show a Jew that every Jew can do that. And then the Alter Rebbe concluded with those words that he wrote, Nishlam Chelik Rishon. So obviously, he's telling you there's going to be a Chelik Sheni, there's going to be a second part. He says we've completed the first part. Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach, everything that we do is with the help of God. And he adds twice, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach v'Yisbarach. I don't recall now if the Rebbe ever commented, why do we need to have a second time Yisbarach? You say, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach, with the help of God. Not with the help of God, God. The help of God and God. That's what it says. So yes, there is what we call Malitzas Hapeh, the slogan way of talking. You know, it's a certain, in Hebrew, it's an acceptable style. Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach v'Yisbarach. It's like an extra, but I'm just wondering if there's anything more to that than just the stylistic way of writing it. Yes, Moshe.
Yeah, just forgive me for jumping in. Just in the English translation.
Wait! I see balloons behind you, Moshe. Balloons.
I don't know how that happened. I did not do that. I think someone was playing with it.
I think maybe it's because we made a siyum, so there are balloons. Very interesting. Go ahead.
In the English translation, in the classic, it is conclusion of the first part, with the help of God, may he be blessed and exalted.
Okay, but that's not what it says in the Hebrew. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh! You're saying that it's not Yisbarach v'Yisbarach. It's Yisbarach v'Yisaleh. Now, no, because what you said, may he be blessed and exalted, to the second Vav Yud Saf is not a second time Yisbarach, which like I thought it's Yisaleh. Very good. But do they bring a source? He brings a source for that?
No.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's just a translation.
Okay, well, I can look it up. I can look it up later to see. Later, Shabbos, I hope I'll remember.
Yeah.
But thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so we concluded, and Monday we'll start the second chelik. But I would like to hear now from everyone here. Where's Menashe, our senior? Is he still here, or he's not here? Okay, so why don't Menashe, unmute yourself now. You're always wanting to unmute yourself. Now's your chance. I guess he's off. Okay, Avram, why don't you say a few words about the Tanya? A few minutes.
Okay, I'll be brief. So, we learned that a Benini, right, it's a very high level. Even so, all of us have the ability to become a Benini, right?
Yes.
And we should really strive to become one, right? So where's the Benini has to do? Tanya says that Benini never really sins, right, in his deeds, his thoughts, or his actions. So we know that person really has 10 soul powers and 3 garments, right? The 10 soul powers were your mitos.
Right.
But they're expressed through your 3 garments. Your garments can be changed, right? You can take a suit on, you take it off. So the fight really for the Benini is fighting in the garments. You have to fight out the way he thinks. All actions start from your thoughts. You think it, you speak it, you do it. The Benini has to really control his thoughts. So there's a lot of ways to do that. You can have a mission to think about, or some song, something that comes to your head. You gotta get rid of that thought that may lead you astray, right? So I think that's the main thing. The main fight for the Benini, control his thoughts. You gotta guard your gates. What comes into your head, your eyes, your ears, your nose, all those things, because all those things are receptors that lead to the way you think. Control the way you think, you won't come to do those other things. You won't come to sin.
Yashikoyach, thank you very much. So that basically, you're saying that's what the Tanya means to you.
Yes, a way to actually become a Benini. Practical advice for how to become a Benini.
So you would sign up for the Benini Club?
Yeah, I try to work on it. There's a lot of has to do talk about person has to guard their eyes, right? You guard your eyes. You see things And next thing you know, you're thinking about it. Next thing you're talking about it. Next thing you're doing it. You have to really guard your gates.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Right. Shashakoyach, thank you. Rabbi Sir, no?
Okay, it took me a minute to unmute. So, when I think about the Tanya, first of all, I think that as a people, we have the Shulchan Aruch, which tells us how to go about our day. We wake up, we say Moda'ani, we wash Negel Wasser, we daven Shacharis, etc., etc., etc. Then there are Sfarim that teach us how to think. The Chovos Halevovos, Mesilas Yesharim, Tomer Devara. But the Tanya is unique in that it provides a structured framework for how to go through life, how to apply what's in other books, in halacha, in machshava, but to apply it to your life in an everyday situation. We all have ups and downs. Sometimes we need chizuk because we find ourselves in a matzav that we're feeling bad about ourselves. So how do we address that? How do we become joyful? And other times we need to make a cheshbon and think about, are we fulfilling what we really are? We living up to our potential? And it is a sefer that provides practical application day to day, how to go about your life as a yid that no other sefer that I've come across does. So that's for me the beauty of the Tanya.
Shashakoyach. Very clear and important. Rab Moshe Braun, a few words.
Well, for me, this is kind of an emotional time because the first time that I started to learn Tanya was when I had just gotten married and was learning in Skokie Yeshiva, and there was one Lubavitch student in the Beis Medrash who I became friends with, and even though it was not a Chabad yeshiva at all, he suggested that we learn together right after Mincha. When the yeshiva had a Musar Seder, he suggested we learn Tanya. And I had heard about Tanya before, but I had never learned it. And so that was my first time, like 30 years ago, learning Tanya. And since then, I've just had so many opportunities over the years, over time, to learn Tanya, but never in this way that we've done it, in depth, systematic, etc. So for me personally, this is a very emotional, significant time for me. And that's a very personal. That's just very personal. But what does it mean? So I think I like just what Avram and what Isser said already. This has come up in class before, but the concept of, as I would just say, thinking like a chassid. When we're thinking, then whatever comes out of our mouths, whatever we, let's say, try to look at, or don't look at, or whatever we do, then automatically it's already like going on, up, hopefully. And so for me, I would say this sort of refrain, this idea of just thinking as a chassid, so to speak, as a Jew should. It's a every moment of the day, or when we go to sleep, and hopefully when we wake up, it's like a I guess our learning has helped me to try to even concretize that, I think, even more. I think that's what I would.
Yashikoyach. What do you want to say, Yisr?
I want to add, because Moshe and I have a lot of private conversations, and I'm as a non-Lubavitcher.
Non-Lubavitcher yet.
closet Lubavitcher.
A closet Lubavitcher.
Other Chassidists do not teach Chassidus. They may behave in certain ways in terms of doing chesed and demonstrating a Ahavas Yisrael, but the Tanya gives us the foundation for why. Not just to do, but why. And so in this, the conversation that Moshe and I have many times is why other groups within the Hasidic world don't teach Hasidus. And it's beautiful. And that's a void that the Tanya fills for me.
I understand. But rather than commenting, I'd like to go on and ask Moshe Drucker, our newest Tanya student, who asked me this morning, Rabbi, could you keep the shiur at this time so I can come every day? Because otherwise he misses Minyan. In Fort Lauderdale, the Minyan is, I think, 7:30 or 7:45, so it's a conflict to the shiur. So he gives 2 days to us. So he said, if you learned that 8:45 East Coast time every day, I could come every day. So that was wonderful to hear. I don't think, I'm not sure that can happen, but Moshe, what do you say?
Well, that did happen. Gentlemen, good day, and greetings from South Florida. So that did happen. I had some issues with my technology. It was moving slowly this morning. So as I said to you earlier this morning, Rabbi, it's perfect timing, as I don't like to miss Minyan, especially today being a Torah day, and we struggled to get 10. So today we had a good Minyan. So for me, the timing is that I'm very, very close. I come home, have a little breakfast, sign on. So this timing is perfect for me. Gentlemen, all Abraham, Isser, Moshe, all so very well said, and I surely concur 100% with all that you said. Now, for me, as this is my first go-around with Tanya, I also, by virtue of an association that Rabbi Dalfin put me with, as I have a gentleman who I learn with one evening a week also, which happens to be this evening. But one thing Rabbi Dalfin said that rings so very true is that it's a rule book. It's the rule book of how to live your life as a proper Jew, as a proper man, as a proper person. And just as Isser said, it's structure. That's so very important. That's the thing that as I've learned, Judaism provides the Torah, the Tanya provides structure. How do you act as a Jewish man? And for me, the most important thing it's been validating for me. No one sat me down at a young age. I never went to yeshiva to say, do this, do chesed, do mitzvah, do tshuva. No one sat me down to do that, but I do that anyway. So that's been so very validating for me. So, I crave the time to learn with Rabbi Dalfin, with my rabbi here, with this other gentleman, because again, it's validating to know that I'm living my life in a proper way. So that gives me great joy. So again, gentlemen, it's a pleasure to listen to you and listen in, as you all are far more knowledgeable than I. So I'm just like a sponge, just trying to absorb it all. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, and we love you, and we're so happy that you're on with us, and continue growing in your Yiddishkeit and everything else. Okay, now we go to our Yoini. Yoini was probably the #1 commentator in our classes from the first day. I'll never forget when I invited Yoini to our kollel, right? When we were learning at not Ish Kodesh, Hamor. Yeah, and Hamor and Yoni and I met and we spoke and started to come, and it's been wonderful. So go ahead, Rabbi Yoini, go ahead. My comrade from Brooklyn.
So first off, obviously we've been learning for years together, and you turned me on to, I wouldn't only say Hasidus, I would say Yiddishkeit in general, starting with Hasidim had I gone straight into Tanya, I don't know, how good the landing would have been. But I think that you gave us, or at least me personally, you gave me preparation for Tanya, and I would say, like what a lot of the guys that just talked about and what they said, I would say it's literally it is the ABCs, it's the Aleph Beis fundamental basis of Yiddishkeit. It is a tragedy that is not taught like the way Gemara or Musar or Shulchan Aruch is taught in most Litvish yeshivas. I say Litvish yeshivas because I've never been to a Hasidic yeshivas. I don't know. But had I been learning Tanya as a kid, I think I would have been a very different person. And I think that I would not have put my head down for 18 years in yeshiva and slept on a Gemara for 18 years. It just never spoke to me because it never had what you just said about 10 minutes ago about the enthusiasm, not fun of learning Torah, but of the enthusiasm of Yiddishkeit, embracing Yiddishkeit. And I think that really should be the emphasis. And I think that it imbues on all of us to try to bring people closer. Forget about Chabad, forget about Hasidus, just closer to learning Hasidut, learning Tanya, learning all the Rebbes that teach Hasidut, because as you said yesterday in this year, it's mind over matter. It's literally using your mind in order to control, in order to physically move something, you can use your mind in order to do it. So all the things about Averot and Nefesh Bahamas and all these things that I've asked you many times, I'm finally starting to understand the difference between a Yetzer Hara and Nefesh Bahamas. It's taken about 5 years. I'm starting to understand that. And we really appreciate it. I know I do. And it's really changed. It's changed my hashkafa in life. Like, I used to care so much what people think. I don't care about what people think. I only care about what's good in the eyes of Hashem. There's only one judge. I don't care about what this rabbi judges or that rabbi judges. Hashem judges, and that's it. We don't have to worry about other people. We just have to worry about how Hashem sees us and how Hashem judges that. And that's what I've taken from Chassidus, from the Tanya.
Yasher Koyach, big Yasher Koyach. Rabbi Chaim Zev, also one of our new students. What's your feeling? And Chaim Zev, guys, he comes from vintage Chabad, Hasidim from the past. His, I think, grandfather is buried in the Chabad cemetery. Am I right, in Baltimore? Is that right?
My great-grandfather.
Your great-grandfather. So he comes from Chabad stock from way back. So go ahead. What do you have to say, Chaim Zev?
Can I just say Gua and go and get away with it? I've been learning Tanya, daily Tanya. I don't want to say learning it. I've been reading daily Tanya for many years, and it's you get things out of it because you learn every day. But this year, with you, Rabbi Dalfin, it really opened my eyes to a lot of different things that you miss in the daily. It's like when you learn Daf Yomi. You learn Daf Yomi the first time, maybe okay. Second time, third time, fourth time, you think you know a little bit. So the same thing here. And like I said, I've been doing Tanya for many, many years, and I still do it every day. But this is now, I look forward to learning it again next year when it starts in Kislev, so then I can see exactly what you taught me, and then I can take that and have a much better understanding of what the Alter Rebbe is talking about.
Right.
So thank you very much.
Yasher Koyach. And just to conclude with that Nakuda that you just said, there's a major difference when you learn Torah Be'iyun, which means in depth, versus, Begirsa, like you said, you're going to learn a page of Talmud a day called the Daf Yomi. It's wonderful, but it's not Be'iyun. So the structure of this year, of these shiurim, is to go slower. I don't want to go too slow, spend, 3-4 weeks on one chapter, because, people will, that's too much. So, Baruch Hashem for that. Now, Rebbe Nasha, you were supposed to be the first because you're the youngest. So now you're the last. You know what we say about the last? Achron Chaviv. Go ahead.
I just want to thank you, Rabbi Dalfin. I think I'm a little bit ahead of Moshe. I think I'm the second newest in the class, but I really appreciate you. I never really learned Tanya. I never really, I've been to a Tanya class here, Tanya class there, but I never really did anything on a regular basis, and I appreciate what you're doing now, and I want to thank Abby DeBugler for introducing me to the class, and thank you, and we should all, continue this.
Amen. And you should be gesund, you should be healthy for many, many more years to be able to be on with us. And at the same time, Chevra, always, try to suggest to other people in your community to join us live or, on YouTube. It's open, it's not about me, it's about this Sefer, the Tanya. It's very helpful to people. You all know that, and therefore you're giving a person a real gift. But sometimes, like Yoni said, 18, in the yeshivas they don't teach this. And by the way, Yoni, as Isser said, most Hasidic groups almost all don't seriously learn Hasidus. Forget about Tanya, their own Hasidus. From them, they just read Friday night a little vort, and this and that, a little more. And that's not going to change easily. There is more and more people, and really a lot more. Chassidus Moveris has really opened up this for thousands of people, and Baruch Hashem, there's now young boys who are tested on Tanya, and they get prizes, and they get some compensation, both in Eretz Yisrael and in here in Borough Park, and in Muncie, we have an entire institution doing that. So, it's going that way, but it's still not at a level where they're going to teach it in the yeshivas as part of the curriculum, not yet. And by the way, the Rebbe, his main thing that he discussed with Rebbes and others was to especially Hasidic Rebbes, to bring Hasidus, the learning of Hasidus, into their yeshiva curriculum. And they gave him a hard time. They didn't agree with him, in a nice way. And I'm talking about people who considered, friends of the Rebbe, friends of Chabad, but they said, we have a tradition and we don't do this. So whatever the case, but you see, and there are people walking around, men and women and young people, if they find a good teacher, a good class, it's very helpful. So always have that in mind to suggest, some of you have done that and the results are here. I remember when Moshe, I think, suggested to Isser to start coming. I remember the first questions that Isser asked me then, when before you joined, then you came on to the Shir. So, Baruch Hashem, and Hashem should give us the koyach, the gashmias. We should be gesund, healthy, and emotionally healthy, and we should have shalom, amiti, like the Rebbe said, true peace, not false peace, true peace in Eretz HaKodesh all over, but in Eretz HaKodesh, that they finish off what they need to, and things get back to a relatively normal situation. I don't know if we can ever say that'll be the situation in Eretz Yisrael, because we Jews are fire. We're fire, and we're opinionated, and everyone's going, but, and everyone should see simchas for your children and grandchildren. Mark, your daughter should go under the chuppah, Mitzvah Shem, with a Jewish man in a kosher way, and to being nachas, which I'm sure will happen soon. My daughter, Baruch Hashem, is marrying in two and a half weeks, and it was a while, but when it happens like this. Just, you see Hashem, so you got to stay calm. It's hard sometimes. You get nervous, you get upset. Why isn't it happening? I'm a good person. I'm doing good things. I'm a stand-up right person in the community, and yet there's a cheshbon. Hashem keeps score. He knows the right time. So with Parnasa, it's that way, with livelihood and
Just to
Shidduchim.
let you know, I have two daughters and a son that's looking for Shidduchim also. So.
Em Yirtz Hashem,
Keep it on.
B'karav mamish Chaim Zev, it will happen. It's trust me. I got nervous a lot of times and was frustrated a lot of times. I'm no different than you guys. And you just have to balance. You have to balance and have betochen in Hashem and have emunah. And do the right thing. And when it's time, it happens like this. It happens like this, I'm telling you. And you say, wow, where did this come from? There wasn't a shadchan, there wasn't, what I'm saying? And there wasn't the formalities, and all of a sudden, two people, find compatibility and what they call chemistry, and they go on to the chuppah, so it's.
Can I make one more comment?
Sure,
Oh, sorry.
Please.
Again, is an insider-outsider comment about Lubavitch, that it's known that Lubavitch has had its critics for what they do. And if anybody really wants to know why they do what they do, they have to learn Tanya. Because the Tanya is the reason why Lubavitch is so successful in reaching out to every single Yid. It's not something new. The Alter Rebbe wrote this hundreds of years ago.
Right.
And it tells us what the mission of Chassidus is, Al Pi the Baal Shem Tov, Al Pi the Maggid of Mezrich. And if you don't know why Lubavitchers go out to put the tefillin on, or why they go out to the middle of nowhere to reach some isolated Jew, learn the Tanya.
Right. That was. I'm glad you said that, because it's very, very true, and I've said it throughout the years, especially the Tanya shiurim. Yeah, it's all based on this sefer. This is the Bible of Chassidus. Sometimes other Chassidim get upset when you say that thing. This is the Torah Shabbat, but really, when you learn it, it's not about being a Lubavitcher. It's about being a Jew, a Torah Jew, and a Chassid. So it's not my book is better than your book. This is the content of what this rabbi, this tzaddik, Rav Shneur Zalman wrote. And I told you, Rabbi Yochanan, my Mashpia, he said that, like what Isser said, he said almost the same thing, that this is the only sefer that he knows of in Chassidus that's a manual, a daily manual. It's different than just having a nice comment for a parsha or things like that. This is a manual for living. So, Baruch Hashem. Chevra, I want to wish everyone a good...
I went to one of also heard one time some people are critical of our hats. But I don't know who said that, but whoever said...
About the hats? What, the Lubavitcher hat?
It's a joke for Isser.
What?
It's a joke for Isser.
Oh.
It's a joke for Isser, so he gets it and that's all that counts.
Yeah, this is shtuyot. In Russia, they didn't wear hats. In Russia, they wore kasketten.
Run my car over it.
Yeah, in Russia, they wore a sailor's cap, like a casquette hats. But okay, listen. It's all good. It's all good as long as there's Avas Yisrael and Achdus Yisrael, and everyone respects each other's shita, and if it's good for them, let them do that. That was my message with this latest controversy here in Crown Heights about the shechita. I don't know if you're aware of it even. And then I said a few words about it, and it had was well received. Live and let live. You want to choose this section, choose this section. You want to choose this section. Like, what come on. It's... anyway, we got Messiah Toiv. We got to finish with good. Good is that, Baruch Hashem, we finished the 53 chapters, and we'll start Monday with Shem Shar Yichud V'Emunah. Have a great Shabbos, everyone. See everyone. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye.